This is The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Roadmap, exclusively here on ASBN.com. I'm Lee Heisman, and every week we bring you some of the brightest entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business executives and owners who are climbing the ladder, scaling their businesses, and thinking about one day how to exit stage left. Today, I have a great friend of mine, my goodness gracious, David Dixon from NAI Brannen Goddard. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's these moments, David. I don't get to see you enough. I have to bring you onto the show to actually spend time with you. But I'm telling you, over the past decade plus that I've known you, I've learned so much from you in so many regards. Your expertise is real estate, but I also think your expertise is networking. And we're going to dig into that about you as well. But talk a little bit about coming up on 2 decades, 18 years at NAI Brannen Goddard. You are the real estate expert here in town. There's no question you have your finger on the pulse more than anybody else I know in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, it started 18 years ago in a 2-year internship with a smaller company in only the tenant rep space for office space. And it was not easy. It was cold calling, going door to door on a set of buildings in one area of town, and literally going from the very top floor all the way down to the very bottom floor and just knocking on each door trying to introduce myself to the decision maker.
You know, I will tell you, from as long as I've known you, that is not BS. You actually, there's no question you were knocking on every single door. But I don't think that's changed. Your attitude hasn't changed in more than a couple decades.
No, it can't, because if you lose that skill, then you lose the ability, or really how I've built an entire business over 18 years. For me, that's what's worked the best. And it's, almost approaching 1,000 clients at this point that has been built literally from absolutely nothing.
So, David, in this area, real estate's exploding across our country. It always has.
Yeah.
A previous guest of ours, Rick Hale, the founder of 7 Hearts of Atlanta, of course, and over $3 billion of sales from his firm last year, told me and told this studio, I said, when's the best time to buy real estate? He goes, well, there's 2 times to buy real estate. And I wanted to have your take on this.
Okay.
He goes, the best 2 times to buy real estate, right now or any time in the past. And I said, Rick, that's a great thought. What are your comments on that?
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, I don't disagree. It's a little different in our world because when you're purchasing an office building, there's a little more to it, just in the sense of, are you looking as only owner user? Are you looking at it from an investment and owner user, or just an investment? So if you're just investment, that's one way to do it. If it's owner user, sometimes you're not as price conscious because you're going to be there.
And you're paying yourself
25 years, exactly.
So
right.
Is your expertise commercial? We didn't discuss it. Do you do residential as well, or are you just
No
commercial?
residential. No, I only do commercial, and that's what I've done for the almost 2 decades.
So, and have you done it only in the Atlanta area?
So started in the Atlanta area, and then as my clients' needs have grown, I've ended up doing deals in just a little, like 40 out of 50 states.
So you'll do it across the entire country.
Go ahead.
Do you find a difference amongst sections and segments of the country where real estate is different, or is it the same across the whole country?
Oh, no, it's very different. Each market is incredibly specialized in how funded the landlords are. If you're doing a lease, what the price is. If you're doing a sale, what the sales tax, not sales tax, but the property tax is. Just, there's so many different variables when it comes to which market you're going to work in. And we're branded in 340 locations around the world. So
wow. Wow.
So it helps us be able to do deals in really any market.
So what would, across this country, what would be the hottest market? What would be the coldest market? Now, when I say cold, I know we're sitting in January and sub-zero temperatures across this country. I don't mean weather-wise. Give me, generally speaking, in 2 decades, the trends are there. What is your hottest region, top 2 or 3 hottest region, and really the bottom 3?
Charlotte. I'm doing a deal in Charlotte right now.
Is this a top one or a bottom one?
No, super hot Charlotte. Doing another deal in Houston, that Houston, Dallas general area, super, super hot. And then on, Atlanta has exploded in the last, say, 5 years. really.
Well, I think they said, if I'm incorrect, for commercial and even growth and real estate, but new buildings, I think the official bird of Atlanta is the crane.
Yeah.
And it's not
That's
really
right.
the bird crane, it's those cranes you see over the
That's
city
right.
because you see them everywhere. There's always putting something up there. So
That's right.
for new real estate people in this space in commercial, or even seasoned, would you give two different sets of recommendations to a new person getting into the commercial space and then a seasoned person?
Sure. I just gave this advice on a tour I was on before I came here. New company, 5 years old. They said, should we lease or purchase? We were out looking at space. And I said, my personal experience yields that try to be in business 10 years before you look at purchasing something, unless you're just well overly funded by investors.
Fair.
Otherwise, lease for the first 10 years, and then after the business is 10 years established, because you're going to need those financials to go and get the best deal on whatever you're looking to purchase on the loan, then we can look at purchasing something. And also, if you're going to wrap up 10 to 20% in a non-liquid asset, it's usually more safe to do that when the business has 10 years of experience, as opposed to 5 when you're just finally coming out of that, that 3 to 5 year period when some businesses, if not a lot, fail.
So now answer that in not only regard of the end user, the business owner,
Sure.
but answer it in terms of the real estate professional. You have a new young real estate professional saying, I'm going into commercial. What advice would you have for that real estate professional versus a seasoned real estate professional that you could possibly provide some advice to as well?
So a young professional, this is what I would say, because I've mentored 2 in the last 2 months. Come ready to work. There's zero safety net in our world. There's no draw, there's no salary, there's no benefits, and it needs to be treated like med school. So for the first 4 years, you're going to do a lot of work without seeing a lot of payoff. So have some money built up somewhere. I've seen more young people quit because they say, yeah, I can make cold calls for 3 years, and then 18 months in, they're like, I haven't seen any money yet, real money, and they quit. For a seasoned professional coming in, it's more of kind of what industry do you want to be in? Do you want to be an office tenant rep? Do you want to be in office sales? Do you want to be in investment, warehouse? Kind of pick an area. That was the advice that was given to me. And then become an expert in that area.
It's really smart.
Both
actually.
area of town and area and product. Because like I don't do multifamily, I don't do retail. I'll do a one-off retail, like if you recommend it to me, hey, we're going to do this, or I have a client who needs some retail space. That's one thing. But my bread and butter is cold calling and doing client renewals and new spaces in the office world.
You know, it's funny. You're exactly right. That's just for business in general, not
Yeah.
just real estate. As you get more involved in your business, become that specialist instead of trying to be everything to everybody and a master of none, of course.
Sure.
So that's a great piece of advice. So, I know we're coming up near the end of this. I got to talk about, we just landed here in 2024.
Yeah.
And with COVID happening, and you've seen on the news all of the information about people leaving offices and people not working in offices in this hybrid workspace, it's got to affect the commercial space. And there's got to be something happening. There's a perfect storm, it feels like, in 2024. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yes. In 2024, we have the most commercial loan debt coming due. And no, I'm not going to say the most tenants not renewing, but large tenants, Chase, Bank, those kinds of tenants that are not renewing space because of COVID, so they're downsizing their space. So it's a perfect storm where people need less space and all this debt coming due that was based on these buildings being leased as if it were going to go on in perpetuity. And so there's going to be, I'm not going to say a crash, but what I will say is I've already had one major owner in Atlanta give the keys back to a very prominent building, and I'm trying to negotiate the deal in this building, and now I'm working with a special servicer. So if that doesn't, and we're only in January, so I think there's going to be more of that to come.
So what are you doing yourself to prep for that? What actions are you taking?
Well, for us, representing tenants, it's more of letting my tenants know. So they just want to make sure the buildings are going to be maintained that they're in, even if they go back to the special servicer or the bank. And outside of that, it's just keeping them educated, and then also just prepping that we're going to see more of it. And so then if I have clients that want to purchase, this is the time that they can come in and buy some 30, 40, 50,000 square foot buildings that are smaller in our world compared to, 300,000 feet.
Sure, makes sense. So David, what does the future hold for you? I know you're present. I live in the present with you. Tell me what your future holds and what's your plan?
Business-wise?
Yeah.
Well, I love what I do, so I want to continue to do this. I also would like to move into, in the next 10 years, in a teaching role where I'm teaching either on the commercial board or as a speaker for just how to be successful in our real estate world and really developing that piece of it. So that's some of the stuff that's on the horizon. And
well, I see that with a lot of successful entrepreneurs that they do enough for themselves. It's almost more rewarding to do for others than
Yes.
to teach. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah.
So Dave, as we wrap up, for people that want to get in touch with you, if they're looking to lease, looking to buy, needing advice in real estate, whether it's as a business owner or even someone that wants to reach out to and maybe even get into the field for you to mentor and to teach, how do people get in touch with you?
Best way is to call me directly. May I give my number?
You do whatever you'd like.
678-789-1617, or they can email me direct, ddixon@n as in Nancy, AIBG.com.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
David, thank you for coming out on the show
Thanks
today.
for having me.
I always learn a lot from you. Ladies and gentlemen,
appreciate it.
I'm telling you, when someone is willing on a TV show to give you their cell phone number and their direct email, they mean business, and David always means business. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope the show was insightful for you. We also hope to see you again next week for another episode of The Roadmap.
Thanks for watching The Roadmap with Lee Heisman.